Hello, my beautiful bookish people. It is currently February 28th for me, but in Spain, where Faye lives, it's 2 a.m., which means I'm going to start reading for Femathon. And we have a digital copy of the manga classics. Classics? Yes, classics. Classics of Jane Eyre. So hopefully I find another classic that I like via adaptation. So last night when I checked in, I was starting to read the manga classics adaptation of Jane Eyre, and from what I've gathered, it seems like a fairly decent adaptation, but I did not find another classic that I am willing to pick up. For one, I'm just really thankful that I'm not a woman back in ye olden days, because, well, I mean, in general, the olden days sucked, and especially for women. I like that it's a female empowerment story where she goes through and she's her own woman. She doesn't take crap from anybody, not from the people who took her in and abused her, not from the people that she ends up at a boarding school with, not from the people she then works for and meets throughout her life. Like, she's very true to herself, regardless of how they try to persuade her, which have some real big oof moments. Especially in my book, because you just tried to use religion to sway someone into marrying you, even though she's your first cousin. And yeah, I know that was a thing historically back in the day. That's why the high class of society in Europe had a crap ton of inbreeding, because you kept the money in the family. But still, I mean, yeah, it's a romance story, but it also feels like a well over dramatized soap opera that's predictable. And I mean, it's a classic. A lot of people like it. It's not for me. I also couldn't fall asleep last night. I think I have a total of 1 or 1.5 hours sleep so far. So that's why I look kind of like a panda right now. But I just got up in the middle of the night and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play City Skylines on Switch and I'm going to listen to This Is My America. And oh my gosh, I'm going to refer you to Ashley from the Bookish Realms Goodreads review of it, because she does such a good job of going in depth with her review. Also, it's an Own Voices review. But I will say this. Ow, my shoulder just cramped. Hold on, I'll be back in a sec. What I was trying to say before my arm cramp was, if you liked The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas and you want something along those lines that goes even more in depth into the nuances of the justice system in America and people working for the cops and the history of the KKK and how not speaking up can cause some real massive problems, because staying silent really can hurt people, then you need to read This Is My America. You just do. My one small thing about it, like, I don't know, is it a gripe? Because I really liked the book for what it is for that genre. Like, I'm an SSF reader and reviewer, so I'm not going to give this like a normal star rating for my system, because my system is how often I'm likely to go back and reread it over and over and over again. But for this book's genre and what it's doing and everything is totally 10 out of 10 do recommend. But the one thing that I didn't like in it was that it hints that, oh, this person was working on this project. Oh, this person was working on this project. Hey, this person was working on this project. This person was working on this project. And it takes them forever to actually get to investigating that project. And I'm not really sure why it gets mentioned so often leading into that investigation. But, like, that's not a major hindrance to this book at all. It's just like a small little thing where I'm like, okay, I know that this project is going to solve the issue. You just need to go there now. You're doing a thing where it's kind of like a thriller, but this isn't a thriller because we're talking about very real life things, and this is actually how it would happen in real life, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I think you get the idea. And Tyler just came back with a big stack of books for me from the library, and I now have a copy of The Hidden Witch. I already read the first book in this series, and I'm really excited to get to the second one. And since I can't fall asleep, apparently, I'm gonna go ahead and read some more. And graphic novels sound like a good idea right now. The Hidden Witch was lovely. I need more, and there's a third one. Now I just have to see how long I have to wait to get the next library book of it. And I did have a good sniffle at part of this because there's a character arc, and yeah. I can't tell you more without giving you spoilers, but I'm really liking where this story's going, and I need more in this world always. I am so tired. It is now past 6 p.m., which means that I've been up for well over 30 hours with 1 hour of nap time. So maybe if I put on some mood stuffs, because I can't have a real fireplace, I have a fireplace on my television, and I tried The Girl Who Speaks Bear with some fun lighting. Maybe I'll finally tucker myself out. Well, the good news is I did end up falling asleep reading The Girl Who Speaks Bear, but then my medicine alarm woke me up because you gotta take your meds at the right time. So then I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit better, but I don't feel awake enough to continue reading The Girl Who Speaks Bear because I actually kind of want to pay attention to that. And I ended up making myself a NetGalley account, finally, and looking at their graphic novel options. And I ended up picking up a copy of Living with Mochi, which is a really cute graphic novel about a doggo. So Living with Mochi definitely captures that fun pug spirit of being super sleepy and hungry, and just their overall personality of kind of being a dork, and I loved it. They have 9 themed sections in this book. It's called Beginning, Love, Food, Sleep, Family, Walks, Struggles, Boundaries, and Friendships. And at the beginning of each of those sections, it's introduced with a color spread that I have a feeling would be a lot nicer in a print adaptation instead of the digital one which I received, though I did leave the publisher notes to condense the 2-page folds to 1 in the ebook, so hopefully they do that on the final copy. I would totally pay to pick up a copy of this if they fixed that, because there are other areas where there actually are 2-page spreads that need to be read as a 2-page spread and got broken up a little bit too much in the digital arc. But it's really cute. Some of them were a little difficult to follow because sometimes it follows a traditional Western layout and sometimes it follows a manga layout, and then sometimes it just kind of weaves around in a circle-ish or S pattern. A snick! That is the word I am looking for. Snick. Sometimes the wording wraps around like a snick. So you might want to prepare yourself to reread them to keep up with what's going on there, because it doesn't follow typical bounding boxes, as in like the page is the frame, not there are frames with which to follow on the page. But totally enjoyed it. I believe this is slated to come out on April 6th. So if you want a book about a pug and you like a graphic novel and you like the front cover, because the front cover is pretty indicative of the style you'll get throughout the graphic novel, except instead of it being in full color, some of it's in grayscale that kind of has like a blended marker fill in to differentiate some things, but the line work's all the same. So if you like that idea, go ahead and pick up a copy when it comes out. It was cute. I just reread the first 2 books in this series over the weekend, so I'd be prepared for the 3rd book. And I've been editing my video on my iPad for the day 1 footage, and just as I was wrapping up the day 1 stuff, this came! So, day 2, Bridge of Souls, book number 4, 5? Are we on 5? I don't know anymore. Yesterday was a blur. Book number whatever this is for Femathon. Yay! Middle grade. Love it. Chapter 19. I just screamed out loud. Ermigerd. Also, I got really sad when I first took the dust jacket off of this book, because normally the little embossed guy is right here, but on this one, it's in the center. Do you ever just do that thing where you try to go to bed, but you have insomnia, so you think of all of the things to do tomorrow, and you think you've written it down, but because you're sleep deprived, you haven't, and then you wake up the next morning thinking, I'm gonna get all the things done today, and then you can't remember what all the things are, because that's what's happening to me right now. So last night I did end up finishing the Bridge of Souls, and afterwards, I just needed a break, because now I love this series so much for what it is, and I just needed to cherish the temporary ending of it. Schwab did leave the ending open enough so that if she does decide to continue the series later, she can, which is nice. But it's also a really, really good stopping point. If you don't know, the first book in this series is City of Ghosts, and then the next one is Tunnel of Bones, and then the 3rd and presumably final one is Bridge of Souls. The first one is set in Edinburgh, Scotland. The second one is set in Paris, France, and then the 3rd one is set in New Orleans. And It's really neat because you get like some history snippets because, well, I should probably back up for a second and actually tell you what this series is actually about before I start gushing about how much I like this one. This trilogy follows Cassidy Blake, a 12-year-old who almost died, and in that process kind of got tangled up with a ghost, and then they go on adventures with her parents, who do a paranormal book and TV show, and they're called the Inspectors. As inspector, aha, get it? I like puns. Anyways, her dad is a historian, and her mom takes over more of the believer in ghost side of things. And then Cassidy, because of how she almost died and was brought back, she gets to go on shenanigans with her new ghost friend as they travel around to film the TV show version of The Inspectors. Each of these books is written succinctly enough that you don't necessarily need to read all three of them. So you can technically read Bridge of Souls as a standalone, although I will say that because of the character arcs in the first two books, it makes this book much more impactful. Like, you kind of need to be attached to the characters for the oomph of this story to work, because it's very much a thriller based off of what's happening to the characters. So you need to care about them for the thriller part of it to work. But if you're like me and you grew up watching the show Ghost Whisperer, and that is just your brand of paranormal, give me more of it, I need more in my life, this is basically the middle grade version of that with a fun spin. So I'd highly recommend them. And I think now that we're at 5 books, I should probably cut the video here and then start a new blog, because I've already started editing this and I know it's well over 12 minutes already, and I don't want it to get too long. Like, I love Books and Lawless content sometimes, but when I see that I have to dedicate an hour and 45 minutes to a themed video, I'm like, okay, I need to clear some time for that, or I don't even know how even. So I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter. Let me know if you think that they could be a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. I'm totally open to suggestion. But anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!